Tyros X7 was not made for humans. It breathed acid through the trees. Its rivers ran black. Its moons howled. And beneath its triple suns, the jungle pulsed with monsters that didn't flinch from bullets. This world was feral, but beautiful. And I had no one left to blame but myself for ending up here. My name is Dax Meriden, ex-captain of the Galactic Resistance, decorated, then court-martialed, then vanished. Now I live alone in the Green Death, a rusted outpost, a broken rifle, and silence. I wasn't supposed to be remembered, but then I found the lion, not just a lion, a Velmara, 50 feet long, shoulders like fallen buildings, a mane that shimmered with static under Tyrus's red sky, eyes the size of riot shields, gold and ancient. They called them monsters, said they were created for war, but I knew better. The Velmara were wild perfection, balance, power, pride, everything humans forgot how to be. So naturally, we tried to wipe them out. I didn't expect to see one again. The last sighting was 8 years ago. Hunted, broadcasted, murdered in high definition for rich bastards who wanted the moment it fell. But on the 32nd cycle of the storm season, I found blood in the trees. Not drops, streaks, massive gouges in the earth, ripped vines, crushed stone. Something huge had fallen. I followed it for 3 kilometers through mud and moss until I found the crater. And there it was. The Velmara was half buried in a collapsed transport pod. Metal tore through its hind leg. One wing of its spinal frill was burned. It was breathing hard, slower than it should have, but still alive. I froze. Every instinct screamed, "Run!" Because even dying, it could break me with a twitch. But its eyes, they weren't wild. They were watching me, waiting. "You should be dead," I muttered. It didn't respond, just exhaled. A low rumble rolled through the ground. I circled cautiously, kept one hand on my sidearm. Then I saw the marking on its flank, burned into the fur. Capture tag. Someone had tried to trap it, hunt it, but it got away. Barely. I approached slowly. My boots sank into the moss. The Velmara didn't growl, didn't move. It just watched. Its breath steamed in the jungle air. Its blood was pooling into the earth. And I realized if I left it here, it would die. Not in fury, but in silence. Forgotten. I didn't ask myself why I stayed. Didn't calculate the odds. I just dropped my pack and started cutting the debris. Hours passed. I worked through the night, used every tool I had, cauterized the leg with a heat spike, pulled shrapnel from its ribs, wired a drone's solar battery to a med foam injector, and patched what I could. The lion didn't move, but its eyes never left mine. And when I collapsed beside it, covered in blood and sweat, it did something I'll never forget. It lowered its head toward me and blinked, slow, like a nod. I didn't sleep. I just watched the sky through the canopy. Waited, because I knew this moment wouldn't stay hidden. Not on this planet. And sure enough, by morning I heard the hum. 3 VTOLs, Federation hunting class, coming in low and fast. They weren't here for me. They were here for it. I scrambled up the ridge, raised my scope, and counted 6 men. 3 in combat suits, 2 with tranquilizers, 1 with a portable DNA harvester. Professional, efficient. They didn't see me. I could have stayed quiet. Could have let them finish the job. Let them bag the Velmara and earn their bounty. But when I looked back at the lion, blood still drying in its fur, breath shallow, eyes still watching me, I felt it. Trust from a beast that should have no reason to trust. So I stood up and stepped into the clearing. The hunters raised their weapons immediately. "Stand down. This is a secured target zone." "I know. You're interfering with a Class A reclaim." I know that too. Step aside. I didn't. I looked back at the lion. It didn't growl, but it rose slightly, painfully, 1 foot at a time, standing beside me like we were already on the same side. You don't want to do this, I said. The lead hunter narrowed his eyes. You know what that thing's worth? I know what it is. It's a relic. It's more alive than any of you. They raised their rifles, and I raised mine. 1 man, 1 rifle, 1 dying lion behind me, and a war about to start all over again. But this time, we weren't the prey. They didn't fire at first. I could see it in their helmets, their scanners lighting up, confused, trying to figure out if I was bluffing, if the lion was dying, if I was just a mad exile with a death wish. This is your last warning, the squad leader said. You're standing between us and a lethal specimen. I didn't lower my rifle. Funny, it didn't kill me when it had the chance. Behind me, the Velmara let out a low rumble. It wasn't a growl, it was a warning, a sound older than fear, a sound that said, if you come closer, you won't leave. They didn't listen. They moved in, slow, disciplined, flanking. The first dart fired, straight for the lion, but before it hit, I stepped in front of it. The tranquilizer hit my shoulder, dropped me to 1 knee. Pain bloomed, not lethal, but enough. I gritted my teeth and shouted, "You shoot again! This thing won't need to protect itself. I will!" That stopped them, only for a second. Then, the second shot came, but it never landed, because the lion moved, 1 paw, a blur. It slammed the shooter through a fallen tree. Another roar split the clearing, deafening, visceral. Birds exploded from the trees. Dust shook from the ground. And the hunters finally understood. This wasn't a trophy. It was the apex. And it had just decided that I was worth standing beside. 2 more soldiers fired. The lion moved like a storm, tore through underbrush, dodged darts, swiped limbs, knocked guns from hands with terrifying precision. But it didn't kill. It was defending, not hunting. I stumbled to my feet, shoulder on fire, and fired 3 warning shots in the air. Fall back. No one moved, until the lion stepped in front of me, its mane glowing faintly in the orange light, its breathing heavy but steady. It growled low, deep, final, and 1 by 1. The soldiers lowered their weapons. "You're insane," one of them spat. "It's an animal." "So are we," I looked them in the eyes, "but I've never seen a human take a dart for a stranger." This thing did. The silence held. Then their ship began recall protocol. Orders came in from orbit, not to engage, not to kill. Target deemed non-lethal, too much risk. Pull out. They left, fast, no parting threats, no glory, just dust trails and silence. I collapsed against the lion's paw, felt the tremble in its muscles. It was barely holding on, but it was standing, and so was I. For the next 12 days, I stayed with it, treated its wounds, brought water, built shelter, reprogrammed a utility drone to scan its vitals. And every night, we sat under the stars as the jungle quieted around us. It never roared again. It didn't need to. Its eyes said everything. One night, I woke to find it gone. No sound, no tracks, just an empty clearing and broken branches heading north. I thought I'd never see it again. I was wrong. Weeks later, I climbed the ridge above the river plains to salvage scrap from an old comm tower, and I saw it from above. The lion was there, unscarred, powerful, glowing faintly in the dusk, and beside it, 3 smaller shapes, cubs. It had returned to its kind, but not before leaving something behind. In the dirt where we once stood, I found a single claw, sheared, old, but set gently on a moss-covered rock, like an offering or a promise. I carry it now around my neck, not as a trophy, as a truth, that the wild is not what we fear, it's what we forget to protect, until something reminds us. I never went back to the outpost. I let them call me lost, let them call me mad. But one day, when the lions return in full, and they walk beside those who defend them, someone will remember my name, not because I saved a monster, but because I listened when the wild told me, "You don't have to fight everything. You just have to stand beside what deserves to live." And I did.